Today's 5th of March, and a good time to start a spring tour of the gardens. The raised beds are all bedded down for the winter yet. They have straw on them. One of them, a lot of wheat came up through the straw. Apparently that wheat had not been cleaned very well, but they'll get cleaned off. One of these beds will need to be cleaned off to get ready to plant the early spring crops like kale in. Over on this side, I have a new project. I have a couple mineral lick tubs I got from a beef farmer that I'm going to fill with potting soil and grow sweet potatoes in. Out in the distance there, you can see the compost bins and tumblers. I'll walk by those in a minute. The greenhouse is getting too hot. All the cool weather crops that's growing in there are starting to be affected and going to seed. Still have the water turned off out here. I have the rings here with the rhubarb in them, and they're just now beginning to come up. Don't know if they'll be visible on camera. Don't see one there. Here's one over here. Where is it? See the new growth right here. This is a Canada red rhubarb. It's coming up. I have 6 beds growing here, and I think all of them have rhubarb coming up in them. This one has, this is one of the Glaskins perpetual rhubarb. It's coming up and looking very nice. We'll go in just briefly into the greenhouse. You can see they have spinach and lettuce growing here. I planted some new black-seeded Simpson lettuce. I have pepper plants back here that are growing, doing fairly well. The tomato plants that's hanging here that are tumbling Tom tomatoes. There's a red one and a yellow one, and they're loving this heat in here. Down on this end, I have some Bok Choy and some Swiss Chard. I just picked out both of those yesterday, so there's not much there. There's a little parsley here and another pepper plant. Up on the shelf, I have seeds started, and here's pepper plants and Chinese cabbage. And over on here is some kale that has just sprouted. See if I can zoom in on that. You can see the small plants have just started. And these are bunching onions, and they're coming along really good. So the greenhouse is entering its summer phase. It's getting a little too warm in here for most things, but like I say, tomatoes and peppers are loving it. They're doing really well. Let's walk out to the back. This is another one of the mineral lick tubs. I have an empty compost bin here. When I clean off the straw from the beds today, they'll go into this one. I've got to put some fabric, weed fabric around the inside of it so that it closes off those slots there. This one is full of compost. It's almost all coffee grounds and wheat straw. And the 2 compost tumblers are full of compost. These beds here are my project for today. I've got to clean the straw off of them, add compost to them, and get ready to plant Sugar Snap Peas in about 2 weeks. They go in mid-March, and they will be growing on this arbor that is here, and they grow all the way to the top of that arbor every year. So both of these beds will be cleaned off for Sugar Snap Peas. Here's some more mineral lick tubs that I've gotten, and don't currently have any plans for those, but something will get planted in them, I'm sure. And this is the other side of the arbor. I'll back up a little bit. You can see the entire arbor that's growing between these beds. But this bed has to be cleaned off as well as the other. So I'll stop the video at this point, and I'll get busy putting the fabric cloth onto the compost bin and getting the straw cleaned off, and then we'll show the difference in the beds. Okay, I've got the weed fabric on the inside of the compost bin, so we're ready to clean off the straw off the beds out there and start filling it up. I did something a little different this time with the weed cloth, weed barrier. I put pieces of plastic on before stapling it on so that the staples won't pull through like they did before. I ran out of little pieces of plastic and stapled in the middle, but the edges are all stapled with pieces of plastic, and I've added some boards to the front of it so that pack the straw down in there, and we'll get busy and start composting that. So I'll go get the wheelbarrow out here and we'll start cleaning off the beds. Okay, the two beds are cleaned off and the straw is put in the compost bin, and I add a little compost to the inside edge where the peas will be planted on March 15th. I didn't have enough to do the entire bed, but I can add more compost later. So these two beds are all ready now to warm up and be ready to plant peas, the Sugar Snap Peas, on March 15th. This is the date we normally plant. And we got some nice rich compost for them to grow in. And these peas, once they're planted, will grow up this arbor, and they grow up 6-7 feet high. So these beds are now ready for the planting. This is a straw I took off of the two raised beds and packed into this section of the compost bin. This straw can either be used for mulch this summer, or I can use it as browns for some other composting. But that completes our video of the spring tour of the gardens. Thanks for watching.